This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Raptors.com, an amazing daily fantasy sports site with sort of some disruptive ways to get into the games, from rank'ems to snake'ems. And an individual who's done some work with them, but he's way bigger into fantasy sports than I am. This guy knows a little bit about everything and really educated in the sports world. At Fantasy Tips Ryan, give him a follow, or at the DFS 5-pack on Instagram. Ryan Kostroski. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful today. How are you this evening?
Good, dude. Appreciate you jumping on the call with us. Whereabouts are you?
I am located in Green Bay, Wisconsin, so I can't lie. I'm a big Bucks fan, and listening to all the Raptors talk gave me some bad memories of what I had to go through last year in the playoffs.
Well, don't worry, man. I think this year you're the Greek freak, as they call him, is really on a mission, and we see that. You must be excited for what's to come.
I am excited for what's to come. Born in Wisconsin, it was kind of always hard to be a Bucks fan growing up because that was also the time of Michael Jordan. So, like most people, I followed him very closely, and the Bucks really haven't been good for most of the 40 years I've been alive. So it was fun to watch it last year, but I got to give the Raptors credit. They came to play, and between Kawhi and Siakam and Fred VanVleet just went crazy after having that baby.
Yeah, that was everyone remembers what Freddie did out of nowhere because he was not doing well until the baby was born. But yeah, I was talking to actually Rick Comley yesterday of the NBA Network here on SiriusXM, and he was sort of thinking that it's going to kind of be a Lakers and Bucks final. He was really thinking that the Bucks had a great shot this year.
I would think so. I mean, the East is really top-heavy between Milwaukee, clearly. Philly's pretty good. I think Toronto's still pretty good, and I think the Celtics have something to say about that. I like the addition by subtraction of losing Kyrie Irving. You bring in Kemba, who's still pretty good, not as quite ball-dominant as those guys, and spread it around to the East, so it should be a lot of fun. I think the West, though, between the two LA teams is going to be real exciting because both of those teams are going to be really good.
Yeah, and what's nice, and I don't know if you agree with this, Ryan, but the NBA this year, to me, has more parity in it than it has in, and I think even maybe like 15 years probably, that you really don't have a concrete winner in mind. I think that's a tough one, or even really the two teams that are going to end up in the finals. That's something that most people would have said most of the last decade at least. This year it seems a little different, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I'm so excited that Golden State isn't a foregone conclusion. To actually have a competition out in the West this year, it is nice, it is refreshing, and I cannot be alone in actually really enjoying watching Golden State lose because they stacked the deck for so many years that it was a foregone conclusion. It just wasn't as much fun for the basketball fans out there. So it's going to be an entertaining year, and I'm just excited to watch it.
Yeah, as we all are. So what's your number one sport? Is it football, though?
As far as for like fantasy sports, it's actually probably going to be the NBA just because it runs on a daily basis. I know for us, our business model is highly based around NBA. You play every single day. Got a minimum of 2 games pretty much every day for whatever it is, 6, 7, 8 months. NFL's big, but it's still really only once a week.
And how long have you been doing the daily fantasy sports and betting and odds and giving tips and really understanding the level on a sports on a more sort of analytical level?
All right, so I got an 11-year-old son, which means about 11 years ago I decided I had to be home more often, and I really got into fantasy sports to kind of fill that like adrenaline rush that a lot of guys, you can't get. You can't be going out every night anymore, and you have to be home. So that
Well
started
said.
about 11 years ago. And then those DraftKings and FanDuel websites came 6, 7 years ago, and I started playing a little bit and realized that the information that was available to the public was, one, really hard to find at first, and even the information that was out there was not very good. So started up a YouTube channel and just did it for fun for a little bit, and then it just kind of snowballed from there.
Good for you, man. Yeah, that's a way to do it. And now, obviously, we have something in common. I know Zach from Drafters.com, not nearly as big, and he'll be the first one to tell you that, as a DraftKings or a FanDuel, but trying to be a bit disruptive and a little bit neat with their rank'ems and snake'em games and substituting players who are hurt for sort of more of the I would say average daily fantasy sports player, the guy or the lady who doesn't have as much time to be as sort of in the know as you are, Ryan. And that's a nice outlet for some to play too, isn't it?
I like Drafters a lot. So I haven't I've played the Rankum format. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. But I really, really enjoyed the snake drafts, going anywhere from just heads up with somebody else upwards. I think we had 12 people, paying customer of ours. We got together and did a 12-person football draft. Because what's the most fun part about playing fantasy sports? It's the draft, right? It's picking your guys. And now you get to do that every single day. But where I like drafters compared to DraftKings and FanDuel is not everybody has the same players. So if I like LeBron tonight, I'm the only one with LeBron on my squad. Not everybody has him. The other day, Karl Anthony Towns was like 90% owned by the field against Memphis. And it's just, there's no way to, get away from a guy like that. But in this format, you're the only one that has him.
Yeah, it sort of reminds people, I think, of how they did their drafts in high school or in college days. They got together in a room, they brought some brewskis, and, they went up and down, and it was sort of the draft order that was key, and then you had to devise a strategy around that, too. Okay, like I've always wanted to ask somebody who knows this better, and I know it. What's a desired pick in a snake draft? Do you want the first pick, or do you want even something closer to the bottom where you can get a couple of guys back-to-back and start building up maybe a better strategy there?
So there's a term we use almost every day on our show. It's slate dependent. So it's really going to vary day to day. Like back in the baseball season, when Matt, my business partner, and I, we do a show every day where we kind of do like a drafter's draft and just talk about why we're picking our guys. I'm sure you're familiar with the name Garrett Cole.
Yes.
Okay, so there was a day where Garrett Cole was the best starting pitcher by such a big margin that whoever got the first pick that day is just leaps and bounds ahead of the field. Now, there are other days, like tonight on basketball, if you were rolling 6 deep, I might want the 6th pick because the talent from 1 to 6 is not that big of a discrepancy. But by the time you get back to the 12th pick, there is a big discrepancy. So it varies day to day.
It makes a lot of sense. Garrett Cole, it's interesting you mentioned Garrett Cole because I was thinking about it because he's testing free agency after the World Series win, isn't he? Oh, no, he didn't win the World Series. They lost. But is he testing free agency or is he signed up for the Astros?
Nope, he was testing free agency. I know this much. He's going to be able to afford to buy pretty much anybody he wants in the world because when he gets this, whatever it's going to be, $200, $300, $400 million contract, it's going to be a very wealthy man, and I'm going to be a little bit jealous.
Yeah, and that's sort of what I was getting at is because I forgot. I know that they lost, but I was thinking about it if he would have tested it regardless had they won, and if he went somewhere else. I don't think other than Kawhi back to basketball, there's ever been a player that good with that, the star player on that team that would have left after a championship year.
No, you don't see it very often. I feel like modern day, though, it's happening more and more and more because, especially within the NBA, just the landscape, the way that it changed this year is absolutely insane.
Does that upset you? Do you think something's a little bit lost from sports where guys aren't really staying with teams for a career? Back in the day, we saw career players, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, these types of stories in basketball, especially. Where fans could buy merch, hold on to that merch, go and support someone for really forever. Or is it just the business of sport, Ryan?
So I get both sides of it, right? From the players' aspect, they want to get paid. They want to move around. They want to go play with their buddies. It's really the worst in basketball, right? These guys seem to be moving teams every single year. Baseball and football, it happens, but not quite as much, especially if you look at like a franchise quarterback. Now, I'm a Green Bay guy. Aaron Rodgers, we drafted him. He's moving his way into his upper 30s. He's still there. That's pretty cool. Tom Brady's been playing for New England now since, the late 1800s. Pretty cool to see stuff like that. I think that's more fun. I think it's more enjoyable for the fans. I don't think that it would be impossible for John Elway or Dan Marino to walk in and do what Tom Brady did if he was being under Bill Belichick. But the fact he's been doing it for so long, it's admirable at the very least.
Yeah, what I was thinking about when you said you're from Green Bay right away, I thought about the Packers and the Cheeseheads and Aaron Rodgers and, of course, a Super Bowl a few years back. What an amazing – I just love Aaron Rodgers. Do you ever pinch yourself and go, man, this guy's on my team?
Can't lie. I'm 39 years old, which means Brett Favre was the quarterback when I was about 10 or 11. I've been super spoiled. And the other day on the show, we were kind of joking around that they only have 2 Super Bowl wins over that time period. And then, of course, I got a bunch of comments on our YouTube videos like, dude, I'm a Chiefs fan. I would kill for 2 Super Bowls in my lifetime. We can't even sniff the Super Bowl, so I'm insanely jealous. I've been very, very fortunate. You know, we all get lucky with certain things in life, and I've watched Hall of Fame quarterback play since before I even entered high school, so very fortunate for me.
And are there when you do daily fantasy sports, is there one sport that's easier to predict to win than others, or sort of like when it comes to algorithms or numbers, or is it always really the knowledge you know? And sometimes, let's be honest, luck of the game.
There's going to be luck, and any given day, there's more luck than skill. I believe the skill comes over more of a long-term evaluation standpoint. I actually used to play poker for a living way back in the day during that poker craze in the early 2000s, and it was kind of the same thing. On any given night, there's a lot of luck involved, but long-term skill wins out. For me, I like the NBA because I think it's more replicable. Minus foul problems and obviously blowouts, which you can't really control, the statistics are more replicable. Sorry about that. In baseball, like when you look at it from a fantasy standpoint, like a home run is worth like 3 singles and an RBI on like the DK or FanDuel format, and that's just going to be more random on any given day. So look at it this way: like if the Angels are playing, Mike Trout's only the highest scoring player on his team, maybe 1 out of 3 nights. When the Toronto Raptors were playing last year, and if Kawhi actually played and wasn't load managed, he was the highest scoring player fantasy-wise almost every single night.
Isn't that interesting? So it's a little more predictable, but of course there will be some luck within it. Well, listen, I hope we keep these chats. What I'd like to do, if you don't mind, and obviously you like drafters.com, I like drafters.com. I like the fact that it's more simplified. For a guy like me, listen, I know a ton about sports, but I'm 46 years old with 2 kids at home and doing a million different jobs, so it's just hard for me to keep up. Maybe from time to time you can jump in here and help us keep up. Does that sound okay?
It sounds great to me. I love talking sports. I do it all day long. It's kind of, other than my kids, because I got 2 young ones myself, it's pretty much one of the few passions I have in life, and anytime.
Awesome, dude. Well, Ryan, we'll get some of your fantasy tips next time at Fantasy Tips Ryan, and make sure you check them out on YouTube and Instagram. Look for the DFS 5-pack and the DFS5pack.com as well. We appreciate it, and I know drafters.com does too. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I would encourage everybody out there, from my own selfish standpoint, please go play on Drafters, because I want those player pools to continue to get bigger and bigger. It's more fun, and I'll draft all day long if we just get more and more players on that website, and it's a good time.
Beautiful, buddy. Great message. Thank you so much.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.